How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another recording of Predecessor Protocol, episode number 68. We're almost at the funny number, guys. I'm excited to be there. Today I'm joined by obviously our fabulous host over here, Hasp. How's it going, Hasp?
Doing well. Hope everyone's doing well.
Beautiful, awesome, and obviously we got Joeyourstruly as well. He's our special guest today. So how's it going, Joey?
It's going great. I'm actually kind of disappointed they involved me on episode 69. I think that would be an iconic episode to say the least, both JYT and on the funny little episodes.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
You can come back.
You can come back if you want.
We'll have you back on. We'll probably add a couple more people too. So I don't know. We'll see.
The funny number episode. Yeah. I'm excited. So today we're going to be talking about kind of all things about the patch. We're going to be looking at the patch notes, going over and pointing out kind of all the important things. Hasp, our patch experts, going to break it down for us. We're going to obviously talk about Wukong, new hero, last of the Paragon heroes. So it's a big step in Predecessor's kind of future. We're going to ask Joey some questions about that because Joey is the Monkey King. He's been running people down like crazy. You've seen his videos. And then we're also going to be talking about the other stuff that was highlighted during the dev stream. There was teasers for new heroes. There was obviously rank changes, which I guess is kind of covered in the V1.5. And then there's a few other things as well. So, I mean, without further ado, should we just talk about quickly, like, what's our feel on 1.5? Like, do we think overall it was a good patch, or we feel like there were some issues with it? Hasp, you go ahead. You can start.
I've only been able to play a few games just because Oblivion Remaster came out and Tamriel needed me. So that's it's been kind of stealing some hours over the past week. But the few games that I've played, it feels fine. I mean, I do have just since I've been playing a lot more over the past past month or so.
Yep.
The more that I play, the more I kind of see some pain points. I think in the current state of the game, but I think it's moving in a decent direction. But
yeah, so overall, pretty good patch. Like, it mixes things up. I mean, that's kind of what it's there to do. Joey, do you have any specific thoughts on the 1.5 patch? Or just like vague kind of feeling how it went?
I mean, I think compared to version 1.4, I think version 1.5 was a good step in direction because version 1.4, if I'm being honest, was so a very messy patch, and part of it was every hero's getting rework, right? But I my big issue with version 1.4 was just how buggy, how unpolished it was, and I think they did a good job like polishing it up to version 1.5. But then in other areas like performance, like we have to do a hotfix update. I have screen tearing issues. It kind of seems like they improved it in some areas and they make some other issues worse. But I would say overall, besides like some performance issues and maybe some meta outliers, I think version 1.4, version 1.5, excuse me, is a better step in the right direction.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've definitely experienced some of those bugs and just like things where you're just like, what? Like, I was watching Lance stream earlier and he threw a Shinvi wolf right in front of him and he pressed the Q and the Shinvi just went 90 degrees, like directly perpendicular to where he threw it. And I'm like, what is that? Why?
I don't know what it is with line tempo, but like that is the most that is the strangest ability in the game. Like, Shinbi has had so many issues with the wolves for like the past year plus. I feel like sometimes I'll shoot a wolf and it'll go straight through. Like, I literally see the actual ability effect go through the enemy and it won't register any damage.
Yeah.
I've had wolves go off 90-degree angles, like what happened to Lance earlier. I mean, it's very, very strange. But yeah, I kind of agree with Joe, especially with like all the hero reworks from 1.4. It was almost kind of like a one step forward, two steps back type thing, just because whenever you change that much, I feel like you're just kind of opening yourself up to a lot more problems. And
100%.
It's high risk, high reward, but this overall, I think it feels a lot better than the past patch. So I definitely agree with Joe there.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny you bring up the Shimmy Ghost Wolf buff because that was the name of my team that we play in the Predecessor first official tournament. Well, our name was Shinbi's ghost rules, and it's just because our team captain leader games, her main is Shinbi, and she deals with that issue every time she plays Shinbi. She was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna make it my team name just for the memes," and it was very iconic, I would say. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. You were captained by Lita Games. This was for a content creator, Predecessor or Omega Studios' first like Omega event, which Choice kind of put together for the content creators. Fortunately, I was not able to join because I was out of town. But there was lots. I think there was 6 teams or 8 teams, and
4
it was
teams.
4 teams. Okay, sorry, I'm completely missed the mark there. But yeah, so Joey, you were on Shimi's Ghost Wolves with Lita, Empress Tiramisu, Kev Kaioken, and who is the last one? Survivor. Yeah, that was it. I saw that team get through the draft, and I'm like, holy cow, those are some freaking gamers, man. It was very cool. I watched a little bit of it while I was away. It was very cool event. The casters did an amazing job. Obviously, you guys playing did an amazing job. Congratulations on your win. The first Omega tournament. You guys get that crown. It's quite the achievement for sure.
Thank you.
So I mean, without further ado, we might as well just kind of jump into the patch. So I'm going to pass it over to Hasp here as we go to our little screen. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, it's not there. Where is it? It was there a minute ago.
Uh-oh. Technical difficulty.
There we go. We got it. All right. Well, for audio listeners, doesn't matter. But we're going to jump into the patch. So Hasp, I'll let you take over and go ahead.
Yeah, so first things first, obviously. I mean, Wukong, right? He's you either love him or you hate him. If your name is Hasp, you absolutely hate this character. You wish that they had never added this character in the game, and you wish that they would have just forgotten that Wukong even existed. But a lot of people love Wukong, so that's a big reason why we wanted to have Joe here, especially just because I feel like you've put out by far the most Wukong content. And I just feel like you have obviously a really good grasp on the character. I mean, you have a great grasp on the game overall. You're, top tier gamer in this game. So, Wukong. Let's just jump right into it. What are your initial thoughts, Joe, on Wukong as a hero? What do you think of Omega's rework of him?
Well, in terms of kit design, I think these are some of the best kits they have made so far in the game, because it not only adds another layer of complexity that we have yet to kind of see in a hero in Predecessor, but it's also a hero that fully utilizes the Z-axis. And Predecessor, the whole main niche, the whole thing that we would like to kind of toot our tooth about Predecessor compared to the MOBAs is that we are the MOBA that's actually fully 3D, that we'll have the Z-axis, we can go up in the sky, we can do all these aerial combos that you just can't do in any other game out there for the MOBA scene. And Wukong's finally that hero that fully takes advantage of the Z-axis, and it feels like a completely different game when you play him, because we have some heroes like the Howitzer, of course, that flies around the air, and the Scholar, but those are all very temporary, short durations in comparison to how the rest of the gameplay work for those two kits. But for Wukong, more than half the time you're literally up in the air. So it's so refreshing to have a hero that can actually utilize the 3D space, and when you do so, you are greatly rewarded for it. It just feels like you're playing a fighting game now instead of a traditional 2D kind of MOBA that we can kind of been playing for the last 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's great that they really gave him the identity of a stance switching character, which I feel is one thing that this game really lacked. One of my favorite characters, I don't know if you ever played Smite, but one of my favorite characters is Uller. He's like an ADC, but he also he switches to a stance where he's basically like a melee character, a melee carry as well. The skill expression is super high. I don't know if they've changed it in Smite 2. I only played Smite 1. Those types of characters, when you really get them down, you can really just kind of power game your way and carry super hard. But Salsa, I think you had some specific questions about Wukong for Joe, didn't you?
Yeah. So I mean, I know you've been playing Wukong a whole lot, and we were obviously playing during the early access creator thing. I saw you ripping him in support. I saw you ripping him basically everywhere, and you were monkeying on top of everybody. I have not actually gotten to play a lot of Wukong nor play against because I've been grinding ranked, and that character is obviously banned pretty much every single game, especially with the new additions to the ban system. So I did play like 1 or 2 quick plays with him and against him, and he definitely felt very oppressive like in the off lane. So I guess my kind of question is to start out, like what do you think you build on him? Because I've seen people go bruiser build, I've seen people go like sky splitter, super squishy, kind of like a Seraph type build. What are your thoughts on that, Joey?
So my preferred way to play Wukong is more of a kind of assassin booster hybrid. This is kind of like the build that I use in Wukong offlane to help my team win the first official Predecessor tournament. It's kind of like Mind Razor augmentation, then kind of flex into stuff like Mutilator or Envy or Pain Weaver. Kind of like a very hybrid mix where you're trying to really boost your burst damage with your ability as much as you can while bringing some durability here and there. But that's a build that I think you only want to go on Wukong if you play him like I do. And not to say that like no one can play like me. It's just like Wukong is just a hero that it's gonna take players a while to get used to. You have because most people that I have seen playing Wukong playing for more like split pushing, more like attack speed. And that's like the other thing I was gonna mention. It's like the way I build Wukong is probably not the most ideal way to build it for most people. And so I would say that for offline, I think most people should be building more like attack speed, like you say, like Earthshaker, Sky Splitter. Try to go for a more split pushing build because that seems like what people kind of gravitate towards easily on Wukong offlane. And then if you do play him in the jungle, that's when you can go for the more assassin build that I kind of mentioned. But even then, like I think people ironically like Wukong is made for jungle primarily, but I think the skill level of the player base is at right now, I think it's better suited for offlane and you just go through Wukong stuff like in Paragon where you just split push constantly and you can not be good with this hero, you can be like very bad with combos, but all you need to do is build a lot of attack speed and just wipe that towers, and that's all you really need to do to
Yeah.
perform these things well on this character.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the whole point of like you definitely need to have that like skill. You have to reach a certain level of skill with this character to start building him like kind of squishy. Because I tried Sky Splitter a few times in the creator patch, and it went all right. But man, if you get stunned once, you get deleted instantly. It was pretty scary because like obviously like I'm trying not to fumble my buttons, like being in the right stance between my spirit and my body stance, and it's just there's so many things going on with the character. It's hard to keep track of, especially when you're trying to play that very assassiny like in out play style kind of thing. Yeah, so that's really good information. What do you think is his best spot? Because I've heard people talk about him in off lane. I've heard people talk about him in jungle. What do you think his best role is?
So this is a little bit tricky to also answer because I'm like an offlane like connoisseur. I think this hero is just so insane offlane, but he does bring a lot of like skill like level with him. Like
Yeah,
you can only use him well in offlane. Like you can split push with him, right? That's not too hard. But to actually see so much like insane potential on this hero, you have to be very comfortable with his combos. And offlane like challenge you so much in that aspect. And if you don't live up to that, then that's how you can kind of like feel like Wukong is just there to only split push, right? So
yeah,
like in my head, like I think he should be best in jungle. Like he literally was meant to play jungle. I think there's just a couple issues with his clones that kind of hampers his like jungle role a bit. But also I think it's like jungle is also like a role where like you play jungle to like gank lanes, get kills, snowballs, that stuff, right?
yeah,
But for Wukong, like if you don't know how his combos, then you can't obviously gank well. So you just kind of just there just farming camps, not really ganking a lot for like most people. So I think unironically, like he's made for jungle, but his best role is offlane because the player skill level is not there yet to play him in his intended role in jungle right now.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think I tried him once or twice, and it was definitely it definitely felt like what you said. Like you were kind of there just as like a clear jungle super fast, and you were kind of just like an objective bot kind of thing. I definitely did not get the buttons down good enough to like be super proficient at ganking. So yeah, so offlane sounds like it's it for sure. Um, the only other question I think I had was, or I had two more questions still. All right. So one of the questions is, do you think in the off lane, we're talking in the off lane here, who does Wukong lose against in the off lane, or does he just not have a losing matchup?
So the way I see it is Wukong, his main objective in off lane is to be like super aggressive, because if you're not aggressive, you're not trading actively with your opponents, you're just gonna get poked out lane easily, because Wukong doesn't have any sustain in his kit, no shielding, no nothing. And off lane is all about like sustain and damage. And Wukong has all the damage, just no sustain. So like he was like Countess, Grux, even Quan are heroes that he would like struggle against. Because all three of them have a lot of early game damage. They have decent CC, but more importantly, they have a lot of sustain. Kwang with the shield, Grux and counts with the heal. So every time you try to like trade onto them aggressively, they could just use one ability and then they can like mitigate or just heal all the way back up while they get to like fight back at you. So it's kind of like in those matchups, you're like most challenged in Wukong. Well, you're just playing at a disadvantage where you have no sustain and they have all sustainable. So it's kind of like you're on the taking time bomb. If you don't trade with them aggressively enough, or you're too passive in lane, you're just gonna get poked out lane. You don't get the split push, you get to have fun with all that good stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, so super, like, he struggles in sustain unless I guess he builds Sky Splitter, which I guess is a bit of a solution to that. But yeah, so the last question, which I'm sure a lot of people in the Paragon days could have very much appreciated, which is, how do you think you beat just a hyper split pushing Wukong? Like, if you're in the off lane and you run over for a thing, Fangtooth, you guys get it, but you lose your tower, like how do you sort of play around that? Because it's really hard to gank that character with all of his 8 dashes and cloud walking and backflips and stuff like that. Like it almost seems like it's not worth, like, I guess, yeah. I guess that's the question. How do you think you beat a split push Wukong?
I think that is one problematic aspect of his kit. Is like I think his kit is a bit like overtuned. Like that's the crazy thing. People think he's like not that bad. He's like just annoying to kill, but that's partly because his kit is like really really overtuned, right? And it's the fact that his kit is overtuned. People are saying that he's met. It's just kind of like, okay, well, how do you balance him then? Because if you actually bring his down lower to be comparable to other heroes, now people just say he's garbage, right? But like for a Wukong that's like hyper split pushing, and that's kind of the tricky thing. It's like there's very few heroes that can just chase a Wukong when he's hyper split pushing. It's kind of like the whole thing that Shinbi does, where like she is a very good split pusher and she's been played as split pusher in most games because she has enough elusiveness, enough like range abilities that should be hard to like lock down for just one person to chase after them. Well, Wukong just makes that problem like 10 times more worse because like you can send the whole team over and they can still catch the Monkey King himself. So it's just like when you deal with the Wukong hyper split pushing, it's kind of like, well, you now just have to do every team fight with just 4 people because you're gonna have to dedicate one person, and that's usually your offering to deal with the Wukong and just know 2 ifs about it. It's just like that's why he was like the Calnus can be really good because she has that burst damage, that lockdown CC to chase after the Wukong and maybe punish him for split pushing. But besides what's like certain like hero matchups, he's actually really, really hard to chase. And I know certain offlaners like Technica is just abusing the living hell out of Wukong offlane because he knows how to be super annoying with that character and he just can drag the entire team over when he's split pushing and they can't catch him. I think this hero is super cracked on split pushing. And it's actually pretty scary when people catch on more and more how to abuse that.
Yeah,
it's just absurd. Like he has the pole vault jump, he has the spirit walking, or the cloud walking, whatever, and then he also has a dash in his kit. I think in the spirit stance or whatever.
Yeah,
the like. Look, I understand that this character needs some mobility just in order to make his kit really, really work. But good God, man! Like, does he even need blink? I don't think so. Like, what do you even do? Like, really, all that you can do, and I'm glad that Joe mentioned that Quang is probably one of the worst matchups for Wukong and offlane, just because I did get one Quang game in this week, and it was against a Wukong offlane, and basically, I mean, Quang has really, really good wave clear. So I was trying to rotate as much as I could, but every like 20, 30 seconds or so, I would just have to go back to my off lane, clear the wave real quick just to get it back to even, and then make my rotations to mini prime or whatever the team needed me to do. But God, he's just so annoying to lane against, man. It's just ridiculous. Like you can't lock him down at all. It's insane.
I get flashbacks to this was like a year or two ago, but I remember playing into Tekken Kid in the off lane, and he was playing Crunch when Crunch was super strong, and he was building Galaxy Greaves, and it's giving me the same feeling of just like, good luck catching this man. You were never catching this guy. It's like I said, Vietnam flashbacks to that.
Laning against Tekken Kid is never fun anyway.
True. I actually did in the creator tournament. I went into Grady Tekken Kid, and I was just like,
Jeez.
I was playing Wukong jungle for the first time. Like I got thoroughly shat upon by Grady in the jungle and Tekken in the offlane. It was a rough game for sure. But I got to play Wukong, so that's kind of what matters.
Silver lining.
Yeah. Hasp, do you have any other Wukong things to talk about? Joey, is there anything you kind of want to add on Wukong?
Yeah, one thing that I'll probably add, because I don't think it's getting talked a lot, is I think his clones need some adjustments. And what I mean by that is, again, like Wukong is made primarily for jungle, and part of that, what drives him into that role is his clones being able to help him clear camps, be able to do them faster, take aggro for him. But whenever I play him, like just in general, and I try to hit camps, his clones just die instantly. Like I try to do mini prime, I have 5 clones. I'm like, okay, we're about to beat this guy up. Coming up with my homies right here, and we walk up. He does the ground slam, and then all my clones just die instantly. I'm like, well, okay. I guess I'm just gonna do this solo by myself, right? And it's like the same thing with fire modes. I try to do fire mode, and then he does the flamethrower attack, and then your clones just die instantly. I'm just like, oh,
and they just get fucking roasted.
Yeah, so I think like his clones, if there's one thing that you can maybe look at balancing the Wukong, like maybe take away some his like increase his cooldowns, like lowering his damage. But in return, I think his clones needs a little bit more love, because right now they just die way too easily. I think all you really need to do with his clones is to give them like some kind of damage reduction modifier against like monsters. So like if they do get hit by the old prime slam, they don't die instantly. They can still hit for a bit longer. Like I think you just do that one kind of simple adjustment. That's all of a sudden it's gonna make Wukong actually like a lot cleaner, a lot better jungle as he intended to be. And if you want to shift more power into his like clones, then you can also take away some of the power he has in offlane if you want to bounce him in that way. I don't think anyone's going to talk about the clones, and I think his clones are just kind of done, kind of messy for the attendant puppets for him in the jungle role.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like I said, I haven't played a whole lot of him, but I did definitely notice that when I was playing as him, is that your clones definitely don't feel like quite as impactful as they were in Paragon, which obviously Paragon is long gone. We don't need to talk about Paragon, but it was like very good for towers, and the rest of it is kind of like like you said, they kind of just die very quickly. You get hit by one Gideon AoE Q and all your clones are dead. And it takes a while to build up those clones. Like it's one every 5 hits?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why he's just better offlane, because your clones just don't die when you're hitting towers, because the towers will prioritize like the enemy minions. So like to actually get good value of your clones just not dying instantly, you automatically just go split pushing offlane. And again, that's like I think that was just a whoopsie. Like they try to make this here for jungle, not for offlane, but I think the way they handle him now, they just did the reverse Uno, where he's actually better in offlane, and then he just was in jungle, given like kind of like his play style and just how some of his aspects of the kit is right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I agree. It's they definitely, like you said, they wanted to make him jungle, and they gave him this silly passive with his thing, and now like even for clearing waves too, because I don't think the minions aren't going to prioritize your clones over the allied minions, and they're certainly not going to prioritize your clones over you. So like it's just like super free clearing waves and stuff like that.
Yeah, he has like some of the best like early level clears in the entire game for offlane. Like he will always get to level 2 before you, because his passive clones are just constantly hitting the wave, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with that. So next on the list, Hasp, you wanna take it back over?
Yeah, so I mean, we got some pretty cool skins. Obviously, with Wukong, they usually add like one cool skin that you can purchase. So we got the Shadow Ops Wukong skin. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then
This isn't a meta original as well, I think, because this one definitely was
yeah, I
not
believe
in
so.
Paragon, which is very cool.
I think the Wukong was from Paragon actually. I was looking
Was
at
it?
this. Yeah, if you go look on the Paragon wiki and then you look at like his like skins, you'll see like he has like the Future King, that's what they call it, and they have like two
Oh.
other variants of it.
Oh, okay. Well, my bad.
I
So it's
can.
not in the meta original, but
Oh no, you're good. What's meta original is the Waste and Quan Wolf skins. Those are meta original and they're very very cool.
yeah,
Awesome skins,
yeah.
especially the Quan one.
Yeah, continuing on the rogue skin line. I got to use the race one. I have not purchased it yet because it's a little too rich for my blood right now. But the Kwong one has some also sick stuff. You want to tell us about it, Hasp?
I mean, that sword, man. That's just really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
The sword is sick. Does it have different spell effects? It looks like it probably should.
It does, yeah. So all of his lightning in this skin turns red, and it's like it's super cool. It looks like this is. I think his personally, I'm not a fan of his his cape. I think his cape looks a little short, and it kind of is. It looks a little weird to me. But the VFX make up for it 100%. Man, these VFX on this skin are so good looking.
Maybe one day I'll bite the bullet and purchase that one.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm going to get a skin, it's definitely going to be that long skin. And then obviously we got some bundles. You know, new skins come out. We got the bundles, the Rogue Mega Bundle, which I think Kalari and Sparrow are also in there too.
Yeah, that's literally all the skins. I can imagine that skin bundle is very expensive. I have not looked at it. I'm not even gonna look at it because that
too
is
rich for my blood.
Yeah, exactly. Too rich for my blood.
blood.
No, thank you.
I am not one of the whales. No, definitely not.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
and then obviously ranked 0 is ended, so we get our ranked rewards, which I believe is just a profile icon and a banner with whatever your highest rank was at the end of season 0.
Correct.
Over the course of season 0, obviously.
Yeah. There's a lot of people on Reddit and stuff like that where they're actually upset because like when ranked 0 originally started, they had listed like I can't remember exactly the wording, but they had listed like profile and banners, but they also listed like sprays and like potentially skins and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people were hoping like for season 0 to be 2 years. When did it start? I cannot remember. It's been so long. And it went for forever. Feels like forever. And for us to kind of only get these little banners and stuff, I think people were a little bit cheesed by that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was like almost a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It was a long time, but
it didn't help the fact that the devs from series were like really hyping it up, like, oh yeah, these rank rewards are gonna be really cool. And I think there was a quote somewhere where they said something about like, oh, it's gonna be like the profile, like banner art, and then some skins or something like that. Was like they set the expectation that we're just gonna get more than like cosmetic profile screen stuff, and then they showed the rank rewards, and it was only profile stuff.
This
and
is it.
like,
This is what you get. You get a sticker and a firm handshake.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, I have a receipt here. I should be getting this and that. What
I should be
happened?
getting
Like,
this and that. Yeah. I really like how I haven't played Marvel Rivals in a while, but I really like the way that they do their seasons where basically there's like a battle pass per season. And there's also if you're above a certain rank, I think it's like above gold, you end up getting a skin for one of the new heroes that came out during that season. So when I was playing, it was the Invisible Woman, and they came out with a Bloodline Susan Storm, something like that. Susan Storm, I think is the wrong name, but yeah, they gave out like a free skin if you made it over this rank, and it was like well told. Like at the beginning of the season, they released this thing, so everyone knew like where you had to get to if you wanted to get the thing. So there was no FOMO, right? Which I think is a really good approach, and I think that they could have done the same thing here. I mean, obviously this was a long ass season, but they definitely could have added a skin, or even a recolor, man. Like just give me like a recolor of a hero that came out. Give me a Wukong recolor or something
Or
like
just like
that.
give me 500-600 plat or whatever, so I can choose my recolor. You know,
Yeah, there you go, something like
give
that.
give me something, you know, or just a
Anything.
token or whatever.
It's kind of crazy you mentioned that because they have been outputting skins like every single patch. Surely they could like did some kind of skin for rank and maybe make
Yeah.
it exclusive for a couple months and then release it to everyone else. Because don't you guys remember early access where we got all these different skin line series
Oh,
like
man.
the Ascended, the Emerald skins, and those were really cool. Like they were
Yeah,
simple,
100%.
but it kind of felt prestigious. Like, hey, I play in the season, I play this amount of games, I get all these barrel, Gnaw Bash, all steel skins. That was so cool. And then you kind of just see from them going from that like expectation ball they sent to like now down here for the actual race system is a huge disappointment, I must
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the period right after paid early access came out, and we had the Gruxpelt Chimera skin. Well, we obviously still do. There's like the EA Black Site Crunch skin, the Inquisitor Gideon, I think, as well. And those skins, like those were really good skins to have. We've talked about it before on the podcast, talking about like how when they released their recolors, it definitely like devalued those skins because it was a very cool selection of skins that we got. But regardless, I think they should have just added a bit more. Yeah, I think that just about covers it, to be honest. Give us more.
I would have even taken just like 5 or 10 loot cores, you know, just something, just a little something other
We're
than
on
a
our
border
hands and
and a
knees,
profile
Omega.
icon.
We want
Hands and
anything.
knees. And now it officially started. Ranked Season 1 is here. Ashes of the
Woo!
Damned, it's called. And we got a little teaser with the next 2 heroes. It's fully Ometa original heroes from here on out, all the Paragon rosters in the game. So yeah, these are, it looks like, you know, one of the sisters looks like a melee assassin type character, and then the other one kind of looks like some weird mage
support
caster
or
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
something
something like
like
that.
that.
Yeah,
But
I think, dude, watching this, like, I don't know if you guys were watching the 1.5 dev stream that they were doing, that Choice was hosting, and I think Ardog was there as well, and they were talking to a bunch of people, and the transition that they had when they revealed this season was so cool. They had like a big fire effect that came over the screen, and like all the scenery changed and everything like that. Like it was a super crisp transition, and to kind of show off obviously these 2 new characters. I mean, I think these guys look freaking amazing. I think they look so cool. They look unique. I like the whole like sister dynamic that they've got going on. Like it looks like they're obviously battling for something, right? So it might have big like lore implications too.
maybe they're battling for more ranked rewards.
More ranked rewards, yeah. 100%.
And then some more news with ranked season 1. Obviously, season splits are coming. The first one they're pushing off until I think autumn was the window that they gave us. So you know, whatever that means. I don't know if they're talking about September, October, November. Haven't really gone into too much detail on that. And then after that, it's supposed to be a split every 12 weeks. So every 3 months, we're supposed to be getting a season split.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
It's exciting that we have something to hold them to. Not that that's stopped them before from going against what they've said previously. Obviously, we were just talking about the ranked words, right? And like there's been other instances in predecessors past where it's like they've said one thing and then gone back on it later. But I mean, it leaves me hopeful, I guess, because I do think we need more regular big shifts to ranked, because up until now, it's just kind of been you play ranked because it has bans. And it's slightly better than quick play.
Yeah. And this is like the perfect segue into my issues with the ranked system in season 0. So I got up to just like plat 3.
Yep.
And then I just kind of stopped. I took a break from the game in general, like a 2-3 month break. But my biggest issue was hero intent, which they've now added in there. So, you know, you immediately jump into a ranked lobby. You can kind of indicate which hero that you're looking to play, so that way your teammates aren't going to try to ban it.
The timer for that is way too short, by the way.
Was
You
it
get
like 15 seconds?
It feels like 5, man. It feels like you gotta like get into the game and you get like a few seconds to pick your thing, and then you're off to the bench. And you're like, now I gotta type to my fucking team that I'm gonna play Wraith mid lane or whatever.
They only give you 10 seconds on each band, by the way. That is actually
Yes.
that is so criminal. Because you gotta like think about, okay, so they then this character, how are we gonna respond? And you only have 10 seconds, you gotta type to your teammates, and you're just like by the time you finish typing to your teammates, it's time's up. So
also the fact that you can't sort the heroes. You just have to find the hero within this wall of icons. And obviously it is alphabetical, which helps a little bit. But like if I'm looking for Kalari, I don't know where Kalari is on that list. It takes me a good few seconds to find it. And yeah. So
yeah, with the bans, second hero ban, finally, this was really my biggest issue with ranked, especially considering it was only one ban, one per team, but both teams could ban the same hero.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they've changed it again. It's been months since I've touched rank, so I don't know if teams can still ban the same hero.
It is a snake ban. So it is one team bans, the other team bans, then back to the other team and back and forth. Yeah. So you're no longer able to ban the same hero, which is freaking awesome because wasting a ban like that feels so bad.
And then improved AFK loss mitigation. So you're not going to lose as much MMR for someone on your team going AFK or DCing, which obviously is a good thing. That's not the correct way to lose a game. I will say I can definitely count on one hand the amount of times that it happened to me in Season 0. Like, honestly, it maybe was only like once or twice. But, I mean, this is the type of thing that you should have in the game regardless whenever you release a ranked system.
100%.
You shouldn't penalize the other 4 people or 3 people in some cases because a couple of people decided to be assholes. But just quick PSA to the Pred community: if you're going to queue for ranked, play the damn game.
Stick it out to the end.
Just play the damn game.
Yeah.
I don't care if someone's sitting on you in lane. It happens, especially if you're playing like a Bellica mid lane or something, because that character's cracked.
Yeah.
Play the game.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it more in the last couple patches because of the bugs that Joey was talking about, especially like crash bugs and stuff like that. Like it's I've lost a lot of people who crash and come back like 5 minutes later and they're like, yeah, my game just freaking stopped. And it's very unfortunate because you lose a bunch of tempo if you're ahead. You lose a bunch of prio, you lose like obviously player advantage, right? So it definitely does suck, and especially because we're now in the new season, trying to climb back up after reset, right? So it's I'm glad this was added for sure.
And then 24/7 ranked for 2 weeks, or I guess a week and a half at this point, going through May 13th. It's what the people have been asking for. At least we get a little bit of a taste of it now. Hopefully 24/7 ranked is coming permanently. It's definitely a step in the right direction, but yeah.
They should honestly just make that just the norm now.
They should make it permanent.
Because the thing is, like, every other game out there has 24/7 rank, and they have like reasons. Oh, like it's better for our game. Why we don't have rank 24/7? Right? But like, okay, but literally every other game does it. There's a reason for that. Why are you gonna try and make your team play around a stricter schedule? Why just not having the option to just play rank whenever they want? Right? Because the problem, you're not gonna solve the problem if you try to like dance around the problem. You just gotta like deal with it.
You gotta
if
dive
there is
in.
a problem with 24/7, and then make improvements over time. Because obviously, I think there are ways you can circumvent it. It's just you just need to stop dancing around the issue. Just let it sit in the game, and then you can go tackle it over time, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm excited for them whenever they do it 24/7 because I'm West Coast, so the times aren't like terrible for me, but I'm sure for some people it is kind of shitty timing, whether they work nights or whatever, right? So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm hoping that they have enough data now. Because I feel like every time they've done one of these tests, they're like, oh, we just need more data. We just need more data. And it's like, you shouldn't need more data after this. This has been 2 weeks, 14 days of uninterrupted ranked games. they should have what they need at the end of this.
How's that central server working out for you, Salsa?
Oh baby, yeah. Oh, it's awesome, dude. I've dropped only about 20 ping, but I also kind of live kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I went from about 100 to 120 average to down to about 80, and it's been pretty steady 80, which is a win in my books, man. I know
Going in
some
the right
people.
direction at least.
Oh yeah, I know some people who are playing on like 5 ping, and the server room is next door to their house or something like that. I'm like, I have never experienced that in my life, bro. I'm so jealous. I mean, like at this point, I'm super used to the ping. I've been dealing with it for 2.5 years, right? But it's that little drop is awesome. It is awesome.
Hell yeah. Low ping is good.
Low ping is good.
And then we kind of already went over the splits, so that's pretty much it for the rank system. Now they've added purchasable loot cores in the countries that still allow that. I think hasn't there been like a bunch of European countries that have banned essentially gambling in games like that?
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. Go ahead.
There's a little hole. I kind of saw some views on it. This it's more like how they. Yeah, this is the whole like little thing behind it. I think it's more like the big thing about that in particular is that they're trying to get rid of like whole like the confusion, the misleading of you buying like gems, for example. It's like $5 is equal to 800 gems. So it kind of like hides the actual like how much you're actually spending because like oh you're spending gems and that's hard for you to convert that in your head, but like, oh that's really $20 I'm spending on this loot box. So it's kind of like more like of that kind of scenario because a lot of loot boxes are kind of like using that kind of mechanic. But yeah, sorry, that's kind of went side tangent. But yeah,
No,
I think there's a way you can have loot boxes in, but you have to be a lot more clear. And thankfully, the mysteries have like specified the actual percent chances of pulling a legendary epic wave. So I think that buys them enough time to like deal with that law and to make adjustments as those laws come more into effect.
Yeah, 100%. I know a lot of people were begging for this. I know Crazy Fool was begging for this. I know there's a few people that were just like, let me buy cores. I need these skins. I need more opals, right? Because like once you're done with the battle pass, the 50 levels, you kind of just you get like a little sprinkle of loot core. You get one a day, one little ion core a day, and that is it. And it's like sometimes it's not enough. I mean, they're not cheap. They're definitely not cheap, but I think it's a good thing to have them in the game like this for the people that want to be completionists and fill out their accounts with all the skins and stuff like that.
As much as I don't like the idea of like random loot boxes in the game, it does work for a reason. And you said, wait, people were begging to spend money on loot
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah.
It does help like bring in more revenue to the game, and that's the kind of money that the game needs to stay afloat and keep supporting like the development of Predecessor into the far future.
Yeah, I think the opals, like I guess the cores came out a while ago, but like the whole opals thing is a really like elegant solution to the whole like duplicate thing. Kind of giving you stuff towards an exclusive shop. Like I bought the Boris skin, the purple Boris skin, because it's freaking sick. And up until then, I've kind of run out of loot cores, so I don't have a lot of opals. But there's still lots of sprays, overhead emotes. I think there's like profile icons and profile banners too. So if you really want to fill everything out, just all you got to do is spend some money.
I highly recommend that if you're gonna use your opals for anything, you get the Greystone overhead emote, the one that's like it's just a very the very
first thing I got.
Yeah,
first thing I got.
That's like a top tier S2 like BM emotes where
That
it's
is
just so
gotta be
it's
the
so
best one.
goofy that it's just like that's the best for the BM on people. I've been
I love
spamming
it.
that every time I can play.
Same. It's set to my default. Like the little like Greystone,
Mm-hmm.
like good job. Like I love it. It's so good. I 100% agree with that.
All that we really need is the opal drip to match the gold drip in the game, and then I think we'll be fine.
The opal drip, I like it.
Then we've got a new server, Latin American server. I think it's based in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. That sounds right.
So yeah, good news. Game is growing. New regions, so that way people in that region can play. at
Yeah,
not salsa pings.
I wonder what their ping was. Like they had to have been playing like at fewer, like, because Brazil is kind of, well, it's on the side. Sorry, I'm just thinking in my brain. But yeah, they had to be kind of playing on the same ping, if not more, of mine. So I'm sure there's lots of people who are very appreciative of this extra region. And hopefully it means that we get more in the future, especially kind of overseas. Uh, in the because right now we don't have an Oceania server. Correct? It's just like they play on West, and I guess right now they're playing on Central, which is even worse for them because it's further away.
I don't know. I don't think there's an oceanic server. I don't even know if there's a server in Asia, at least at this moment. But yeah, sucks for our Aussie friends, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got a few friends who are from Australia and or New Zealand, and they're always like playing. They're like, I'm on 180 ping, and I'm like, I feel so bad for you, buddy. I feel so bad.
Not even gonna lie, I'd just play something else at that point. Not dealing with that. Not dealing with that. Especially since I'm spoiled, I'm central. So
yeah, that makes sense.
And we've got some UI changes as well. The big thing here, at least for me, this was the only thing that I put down. The damage font change is really, really nice. I like more information. I mean, you can even see it on that clip that was playing right there. It looks solid. The numbers are big and noticeable, and I don't think it really clutters up the screen too much. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on it, but
I discovered something today. I was actually watching Denim play Argus earlier, and the damage numbers actually stack up. So if you're holding your right click against an objective, like his particle shredder, I think is what it's called, the one where you have it at the max level, you can hold it infinitely. The damage numbers actually like are additive. Instead of showing like 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, it'd be 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, which I think is a really cool kind of little addition that I've seen in other games, but I never thought about it being in Predecessor. And I think it's an elegant way to like clear up the clutter. Because to be honest, before this patch, I never looked at the damage numbers, man. Sometimes there's just like 8 of them that pop out of a hero, and you're like, good luck reading that. That's not legible.
It's really the small details that comes a long way of making a product feels very polished. Like the UI has really come a long way, and that's one thing that Amicis has done a good job over time. Is like, do you guys remember the UI of like the home screen back in early access, where we changed from like the very old Agoa kind of classic look to like, okay, we're gonna make our own brand new like background, and then all you saw was just some like stone like pedestal and then just a very murky background in the hero. That looked really awful, right? Like that. But that was like the very beginning. That was the very foundation they made to now where we have with the UI. Granted, they kind of went back with the old UI background, the main menu, right? They kind of ditched that idea. But the other UI elements like in game with the numbers being changed, like no one was really complaining about too much, but they still did it anyways because it was a very nice quality of life change to really clean up the game so it's more presentable. There's more information that's like not as lost in those hectic team fights.
Yeah. The other thing they added in the UI there is the little kill death thing that pops up like right up over here when a hero kills another hero, when you get a shutdown, when you get a double, triple, quadra, pentakill, you get an ace. There's lots of things that pop up. I think they look very good, and I think in addition to the recent mini-map update, I think the UI is really starting to look crisp. I think the only complaint I have is when one hero kills another hero and there's no like special tag to it. It just looks kind of empty, and I kind of wish that they would just smush them together a little bit just to make it like not as spaced out kind of in the middle here. But I feel like that's just being very nitpicky at this point.
UI is coming together. It's starting to look a lot more clean, and like Joe said, it's indicative of a more polished product. Especially for new players coming in. So that is always good.
Yeah.
And then jumping a little bit into balance changes, the big one, just overall, death timers. And Joe, I know you had some comments on death timers in that video that you released a few weeks ago. You were 100% right. Obviously, they're changing it. They're they're increasing the death timers a little bit. So, do you want to talk on that a little bit? Just like the overall flow of the game, especially like if someone is dumb enough to die level 1 because they decide to run into the enemy jungle for whatever reason, they should be punished for that. They shouldn't be able to get back in lane before the waves crash. Have you noticed like any significant difference? Because at level 1, I think it's like a 3-second difference. Like it increased by 3 seconds. So, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I can kind of see it, but it's definitely way better than the very beginning version of 1.4 when they changed all the timers, because I think between that and to where we are now, I think they bump up the death timers like twice, I would say, since then. And I think it's just collectively, I think it's a good change in the right direction. I do think like there's still like other big issues with kind of like the whole gameplay to gameplay moment where like the big thing that I had that was sort of an issue is like the fact that CS like now is a lot less now than ever before, and it's just the reason that there's a lot higher passive gold drip, kind of like the passive gold you get from just existing in the game, and that just means that there's less fire, less emphasis on farming, and just more like if you roam a lot and get kills, you're not going to lose out on so much farm compared to someone that's been doing very due diligence and farming in their side lanes. I do think that's something that they probably need to still look at, because it's still kind of like in the meta where it's like I want to split push a lot in offlane, and to be frank, like Wukong kind of enables that because of how annoying he is. But outside of that, it kind of feels like objective spawns. You just want to run at it, or every time you coming back from base, you just go and get your lane, then you just walk to your side lane. That's another thing too, is like the map is like still small. The map is the same size, and then since version 1.4, they increased the heal move speed across the board. So now more than ever, you can get to like the side lanes across the map like pretty dang fast. So there's no reason not to stop by mid, make the mid laner's life miserable, then go to like your side lane to go farming. You just won't really miss that much CS, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's really my biggest issue, I think, with the game so far. One, the death timers early game was one thing, but I think a much bigger issue, and I'm glad you mentioned it, and I think you touched on it on your video too. The gold economy in this game is completely out of whack, in my opinion. I think the gold drip is too high. Last hitting, you're not rewarded for really much at all. Like I've been in situations where I have a 30 to 40 CS lead on the person I'm laning against, and we're both like 1-1, and I may as well not even have that CS lead. Like we're basically like exactly
you're up like a couple T1s or something like that.
Yeah, like one T1 item. Like I don't, the whole point of like there, I just feel like there's really no like farming in this game as much anymore. Like it's just kind of, Fang Tooth spawns at 4 or 5 minutes, whenever it is at this point, and then it's pretty much just team fighting from then on. There's really not much of a laning phase at this point. When this game first came out, there was like 10, 12 minutes was pretty much the laning phase, and that for all intents and purposes is gone at this point, from what I can tell, and just from the games that I've played. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I agree with that. I think the laning phases definitely got removed by it. It was like you said, it was the movement speed, it was the gold, also objectives and stuff spawning sooner has made the game like feel faster. In addition to like some heroes, like they had the Fangtooth spawning at like the 5-minute mark or something like that, and some heroes were taking it right as it spawned. Like it's like they're doing their work to like speed up the game, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, because like I think a 40-minute match is it's a long, like that's a long match, and I think my matches right now are around like 25 30-ish minutes, but I do think that it does need to be a little longer and then fit a bit more laning phase in there, because it's basically past like 7 8 9 minutes. It's kind of just farm when you can, fight most of the time, and you're getting ganked on repeat, or you're ganking on repeat, or you're running it down a lane or something like that, right? Like it definitely feels very fast, and it feels like I'm like getting whiplash a little bit on these last couple updates. Joey, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I can see probably why they're doing that because I think for your average Joe, what they want to do in this kind of game is they want to just fight people. And you can go fight your laner, but it's sort of like a don't be much when you can get when you go outside your lane, you go fight someone else, you go gank them from like off lane to mid, for example, you get the kill. And then with the new UI improvements, when you get the kill, it's more like a like satisfying takedowns. Like I see why they're trying to go for that. I think they just need to like find the right balance, or rather, they just need to do some more adjustments because right now it's just like you just focusing on CS farm. Even if you have very good CS, you're gonna just lose out to the person that just roams a lot. And even if they don't get kills half the time, the fact that they do get kills half those times means that they're just now even with you for whatever reason. Like I think there's need to be a balance between like um you should be rewarded enough for CSing well, but
Yeah.
like at the same time, like if you do ganks very well and then you go back to lane and then farm well, like you should be. I could see why they're trying to push this whole like running around the map a bit more. They just need to do it more smartly and make it feel like you're not mindlessly running around the map. You're moving on the map for a purpose, and when you do move the
Yeah.
purpose, that's when you should be rewarded.
Yeah, and you should be punished when it's a bad rotation or whatever, right? Like, yeah, I agree. I think
And
I can't remember who was talking about it in one of their streams, but they were talking about like the passive, and I think they said it was like, isn't it like you get like 60% of the gold regardless if you lasted it or not?
yeah,
I don't.
it's higher. I think they buff it or something.
Oh my gosh, that's just
Yeah,
silly. Like,
it's kind of like the whole Smite because I think in Smite, what it was is like the way the CS was treated in that game was getting the last hit is treated as a bonus because I think the percent is just so high up that you're not missing that much when you last hit a creep in there. I'm actually gonna look it up. You can continue the conversation, but I want to just
yeah,
pull up how much gold you get.
Yeah, it's been like 4 or 5 years since I've played Smite, but yeah, that's like last hitting has never been like a primary mechanic of Smite. Obviously, the best players are going to do whatever they can to maximize their gold. But it's like you're not really punished for not last hitting, which is a problem, a creeping problem in this game. Like again, like if I have a 40 CS lead on the person that I'm laning against, and we're basically dead even, or I have one kill or they have one kill, that should be a bit of a noticeable difference. Like at least give me like a T2 over that.
yeah,
But it is what it is, I suppose. Hopefully, it's something that they're getting a lot of feedback on. I know, like I said, Joe made his video, which was I strongly suggest everyone watch Joe's video on it. I just think that he touches some major pain points in the game currently in that
So
video.
So based on the numbers I'm seeing, it seems like, for example, an archer, if you last hit it, you get 18 gold. If you just got assist on it, then it's like 12 gold. So you essentially gain like 67, 68% of the gold regardless. If you like miss it, it's 68%. If you do get the last hit, then it's kind of like, yeah, you get like 32% more gold from last hit right there. And I think that's where the numbers are at. So unironically, I think they saw Smite and were like, it seems like it's working with the game. Let's see what happens if we do a 2 hour game.
yeah.
Unironically.
Yeah, there's definitely like there's the Smite approach, but they could also try the Deadlock approach, which is a game that obviously I played a while ago and is still being updated. I'm not sure if you guys play Deadlock or not.
I
Just a
have.
Uh,
little bit.
yeah, so the farming in that game is very unique. The wave clear is super cool. Basically, you kill a candle trooper and you get half of the gold, and then it shoots this little bubble up. And it is in very Valve fashion that you can deny CS from people. You can do it in Dota as well. You can kill your own creeps to deny gold from the enemy. But in Deadlock, it shoots the little bubble up, and then you have to like quickly flick your wrist and hit it before the enemy denies it from you, kind of thing. So I think. Sorry, I muted myself. Very cool little feature that they could kind of swing the opposite way if they really wanted to.
Yeah, 100%. I want CSing to matter again. Make CSing great again. Makes
Makes
GSing
great again. That's crazy.
So there's someone in the chat that said that Smite equal bad game do not copy, and then my argument to that is like, why is Predecessor copying Smite? Why are they copying Smite Arena? Why are they copying Smite lives and mechanics then? Which
Yeah.
there's a whole thing on Twitter. I don't know if you saw SecretSalsa, but like Bobby made a whole tweet about like, I guess League of Legends was doing the old version of I guess
Yes.
a brawl,
Yes.
and they were saying like, oh, like the best form of flattery is when people intimidate you, right?
Oh
And
my
then
gosh,
my
dude.
whole thing is like, I think
Bad look.
I think if I'm being honest, I think League of Legends saw Smite Arena and then they just copied that, and then they just happened to pick up Brawl for that name, because otherwise, if they did copy Brawl from our game, they would like name it something else. But the fact that they quote unquote named their game mode the same as ours, and their game mode is literally just a direct copy of like Smite Arena, I really don't think they saw our game mode. They just saw Smite Arena and they just copy pasted that. And
Yeah.
then like when someone else like mentioned in Bobby's tweet that like, hey, like I think you guys really copied Smite Arena, and then like Bobby's like, oh, we don't talk about Smite here. We don't talk about the PlayStation 2 game. And I'm like, but you're being critical of yourself.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I-
that was
Not
the whole
his
thing.
best moment.
Yeah, that was not that.
Not
that
his
was
best moment.
like I could see how he was trying to be funny, but like he's the way I think the context of that was just not where you want to joke about that, because you just sounded really hypocritical.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious because you had people like people within my own gaming group for Predecessor as well that were just talking about like they steal so many things. Steal's the wrong word. They copy so many things from League of Legends characters, aspects like items, like stuff like that. And then like one small thing, one name is the same, and Robbie's just on that shit, man. He is like copycats, you know, like
Do you guys saw Pinzo's video when he did like his own like save the game video, and he literally like went on the League of Legends wiki and he's like, play the Rune King. This sounds like a certain item. Oh, like it's like there was just so many items that he showed from League of Legends that would do like one-to-one with Fred. So it's just kind of like the irony and that the call out be like, oh yeah, League of Legends Entertainment is a huge form of flattery, and I'm just like, well, you base your whole game off of that, so I don't know what to say right there.
And look, like it, you can copy things from other games. That's fine. Like especially a game as successful as League of Legends. Yeah, it's really especially in this genre, right? Like when you've had League of Legends, Dota, and Smite that have been around for both of them. All three of them have been around for over like 12, 13 years at this point. They've been around a long time. So it would be stupid to not pull things from those games, especially if you're trying to bring new players in. But don't throw stones from glass houses. Yeah. Just don't do it. That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. That was a very funny interaction. I'm glad you brought that up, Joey. That was that made my day when I saw that, because people in the comments were blowing him up. It was crazy.
That's why I was really happy with how they did Wukong, because I feel like what can make Predecessor more unique in the genre is have more kills, just like Wukong, where he's playing with the Z axis, like the 3D environment.
Yes,
like they really need to do that way more, and they were sort of doing that with like Skylar. They did with the House of Rework, but like I said, Wukong is literally the first character that actually actively played in the 3D like axis all the time, and I just wish there were more heroes like that, or more gameplay moments that can enable that. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe like a new certain upgraded map that can maybe push that 3D like aspect even more. But I don't know. They say they're making the map, but we don't know. Like that could be like 2 years from now, right? We just don't know when that's gonna ever come out.
I just want melee characters to be able to shoot upwards, or not shoot, melee upwards. I think Grux always swinging side to side. Like, let him just like bend his back a little bit. Let him hit the Gideon that's in the air, right? Like I think there's so many things that should just be. We've talked about it, I think, a bajillion times on the podcast too, talking about Sevarog dash, Kira dash, like all these abilities that like you could at least try making them a vertical ability, right? Instead of just like having them always be a horizontal dash. Like there's so many dashes in this game that are just little horizontal dashes. And yeah, you can do it off of a ledge. Yeah, you can do it if you double jump or whatever. But like, let them move upwards. Let them be free from their shackles. Let them experience the Z-axis.
I think that's the main. I think that's the main thing that sort of missed on the version 1.4 rework, because the whole reason they said the deadline in first place was to bring up like the old Pelican kits up to par for a more modern like mobile, or in a sense, them make more sense in the 3D environment. And some of them
Yeah.
were really good, like the Counts was really good because now her E, instead of being like a on the ground ability, now you can actually shoot upwards so she gets to interact with that 3D environment. But there was just other heroes that just sort of really didn't got changed that much
Yeah.
to fit the 3D narrative. So I kind of feel like that was a huge missed opportunity to really elevate a lot more predecessors like hero kits to be more like 3D focused. So it's not just doesn't feel like a very flat mode, but it feels like
Yeah.
everyone can interact a lot more with the 3D aspect. But now it feels like there's a very limited roster that can actually do that still.
I think my favorite thing from that patch was the gadget E, which shout out to Lance. We were playing ranked the other day. He was my gadget support, and we were into a Skylar. And it blew my mind when he hit the Skylar. He rooted the Skylar out of the air with gadget E. And I was like, holy shit, Lance. He was gaming. And then we killed her or whatever because I was playing Twin Blast. But like, we ran that lane super hard. And that was, to be honest, I never thought about it before. And then I was like, it blew my mind. I was like, this is what everything should do. We should be able to do this with so many abilities.
Exactly. And then it's something small like that, you get a huge dopamine rush. Like that's the kind of thing
Yeah,
that I
bro.
think the game can be so much more fun if they play into the angle a lot more. So they did hit the nail on a couple of those heroes, but then they just completely missed out between a lot of other heroes in return.
100%. 100%. All right. Well, we should probably get back to the patch because we've been gone on a big tangent there that went from tangent to tangent to tangent. But we'll try and finish off the patch here, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more about this rank stuff. So, Hasp, why don't you take back over here?
Yeah, so a bunch of balance changes, minor tweaks to most of the characters. There's really only, I think, I have like 5 of the biggest changes in the patch for all the characters. Number 1 is the Greystone buff. He got a lot more damage, a lot more base damage on his make way, and a scaling increase on his Sacred Oath, which is his little sword, his flame sword slash, I think.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. I think he needed it. I've only played like 1 or 2 Greystone games, and his wave clear just weirdly felt odd, and I just felt like I couldn't really box anyone.
Yeah.
That was obviously in 1.4. So.
I have not played him on this latest patch, but from what I've heard from Denim, is that you can kind of run people with this character. He got movement speed increased by 20 ticks, which it's hard to know the scale of, right? Like what is 20 units of movement speed? But it is not insignificant. And I've watched people in offlane just absolutely run people down on this character. So I think I'm going to give him more of a try in the offlane. Next time I go offlane, I'm just going to try him. I'm going to force myself to play him and just kind of see what all the fuss is about, to be honest. Joey, do you have any notes about Greystone? I see you smiling over there.
Yeah, can I just say that the Greystone, how they handle Greystone with some of the sloppiest QA work I have seen in a long time from them. Because Greystone was riddled with so many bugs on release for this version 1.4 rework to the point that like it actually made him just way worse of a hero than intended. Because just to recap, like his ultimate was severely bugged because it said it cleansed anti-heal, it didn't. It says it gives you increased healing, it didn't. So his ultimate became very underwhelming. And on top of that, like he never got the move speed changes, so he was actually just one of the slowest moving heroes in the game. And you just didn't even know that until they actually mentioned, oh yeah, this is the bug. So
yeah. They're like, oh, we gotta look at this character again. Oh my god, there's so many things wrong with this character, right?
Yeah. If I was doing QA, I would never miss that. Like I don't know how they made it through QA. That was insane how many bugs that hero
I think my favorite bug that I've seen on Greystone is the invisible Greystone bug, where I think it's like something to do with his model being replaced with the stone thing just goes wrong, and then he's just invisible for the rest of the. I think until he dies, he's like just straight invisible. You can still see his health bar, so it's not like you're getting hit by a ghost or something like that. But I just think it's so funny to just watch him just like poof out of thin air in the middle of a fight, and then it's like, what is happening? Like what? It's funny. I think that's a funny change or a funny bug. Sorry.
All right, next big change, at least from what I saw, Kalari. They pretty much reduced, I think, like most, if not all, of her cooldowns on her regular abilities. Did decrease her jump height, and her ult base and scaling damage was increased, but the missing health modifier decreased overall, it seems to be like a massive buff. Obviously, she's an ability-based assassin, and she can get more abilities off now, which is kind of what you want from an ability-based assassin. So, Joe, I don't know if you're. I mean, you've been smacking people with Wukong's staff. I don't know if you've played any Kalari, but thoughts on the changes?
I think the changes were good. I just think that Kalai still has sort of a clunky kit. Like for those who kind of play Kalai like a whole ton before a rework, her kit just works before, but then they added just more nuances, more clunkiness with like her E, and it's just I just hear more mainly negative stuff about the hero rework more than positive things. But they have to do it because otherwise the old Collide can just kind of delete people really fast. And the new Collide can still do that, but there's extra steps, and some of those extra steps just does feel a little bit not as smooth as it should be. But I do like the buffs because I think like without those buffs, Collide, which is a hard one-trick character, I think she still is a hard one-trick character, but I think she's just too easily punchable. There's more safer options still, in my opinion. But some people tell me otherwise, so maybe I'm just the one with the minority opinion right here.
Yeah, I heard. I was in Wangel's stream the other day, and I heard him going off about Lakinator was Kalari abusing, and I'm like, Kalari abusing? I didn't think Kalari was that strong. And I mean, Wangel seems. I mean, he's a very good player, so I trust his opinion. I have not played Kalari or against a Kalari since the patch. But I know that like I've heard other people. Denim plays a lot of Kalari, and he was so furious at the changes during 1.4. Like he was like, man, this kit just makes no sense whatsoever. It's so convoluted, and like the E being a lock on makes it super kind of lame. I will say the funniest thing that I've seen out of the Kalari changes is watching a Kalari backflip, but not hit the lock on, because it's not like a full lock on, right? It's like a graceful targeter or something like that. But they'll like backflip up in the air, and then they'll just fall right back down right where they went. And you're like, where do you think you were getting out of this? You weren't going nowhere. Like,
it's like a Seraph using the E and then just hanging in there. And then
she's sitting in the air deciding which direction she wants to go. Yeah.
Ridiculous. And then it was a minor change, but the next character that I kind of wanted to touch on was Bellica. It looks like they nerfed her ADC efficacy. This was kind of a thing that popped up in 1.4 when they added the I think it was 1.4 when they added the triple burst basic attack for her. People just kind of abusing Prophecy, Sky Splitter with that, other attack speed items. I'm not sure if this is really going to be that much of a major change. There's other problems that I have with this character. Why did her bomb get an extra detonation on it at max rank? I'm not entirely sure why. But I forget about it every time, and it's the second detonation that always gets me. So yeah, screw Bellica. Also, you're the Bellica stan here.
I have actually not played Bellica in a while. I tried the cringe Bellica a few times. I played Bellica ADC a few times, and it is definitely obnoxious. Bellica with Spectra, like Cross is saying in chat, like this, getting a slow on the triple auto attack, and then trying to get away from a Bellica is like, oh my god, it's so obnoxious. And like, even though they changed her physical power scaling, you can still go Prophecy, and kind of go that route with it, right? So I think it is kind of interesting that the little tweak that they did. I kind of hope they do a bit more to it, but yeah.
So you got anything on Bellica?
I think unironically her best build is still like ADC. Like I just kind of look at the stats and I look at other people building her. I think her ADC on hit build is still the best because it's just, I don't know, her mage burst build. It's just like it's good, but I think it's just you don't kill people in your one combo, then you kind of just get collapsed on, and she doesn't really do that like all the time. So it's just safer, more consistent go for her on hit sustain build, even though it did got nerfed from what I can tell. She's just sort of a weird spot for like mid lane, especially.
Yeah. Hopefully, a step in the right direction. I'm not sure if this was fully intended by Ometa. I hope that it wasn't, but time will tell, I suppose. And then, in my opinion, the big winner of the patch here is Morn. I don't know if you guys agree, disagree, but the changes to his contagion all the damage, all the healing, all the scalings on it was increased. The cooldown was decreased, and the other big one, I think, doesn't sound like a lot, but an extra half second on his ult on his ult duration.
Yeah.
I thought he was kind of in a weird spot. Like I played him in off lane a few times just to try it out, and I just felt like I could never die, like no matter who I was laning against, pretty much. And I haven't played him since the patch release. Actually, I think I played one support game with him. I think he's still a bit wonky in support just because that pull is kind of whack.
Yeah, it's not very user friendly for sure. It's a
Yeah.
very goofy ability.
But overall, I think that he's just really, really good right now.
Yeah.
Joe, I know you did your tier list, I think this morning, and I think you had Morn in S tier, didn't you?
Yeah, so Moon is cinch. Do you guys remember how strong he was on first release? Like, do you guys vaguely remember that?
Yeah.
So
I don't, but yeah.
But yeah, so essentially just refer him to that essentially because now he's back to his old oppressive self in offlane, and he's actually so strong to the point that I went him mid for a game, and he kind of felt really good in that role because I just couldn't die. And then every time I ult, I just go against the side lanes and we get a kill because I just walk up, eat people, CC, get follow up, and just die instantly. That and Mon is a very good counter to a certain very annoying monkey because of his ultimate and E memorize ability. So I think Mon is actually in a very good spot, probably too good of a spot. But I mean, to be fair, this hero, when he got nerfed, he kind of was just left in the dust. And he's kind of like a meta original support hero, so they kind of want to give him actual love and make him meta relevant. So I'm fine with that. I think he's a good counter to some of the more annoying heroes in this meta. So as long as those heroes are like as oppressive as they are, I'm fine with Mon being also strong if it means that he's a good answer to those problems.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he definitely deserves his time in the spotlight, being obviously, like you said, Omeda's original support hero. I think his kit is kind of fun, and I think I'm gonna try and do him more in duo lane. Like when I get support, I'm gonna try and play him. But yeah, I think like late game, his heal does so much. It does like 400, 500 health every time you press it, and it's to multiple people on your team, and you're dealing damage to the enemy team, right? Like a good Morn is seriously oppressive and seriously hard to like play around because he's also very tanky. And his mesmerize is good anti-dive, and his pull is good anti-dive. And his ultimate like to the average person might not be that appealing, but like there's nothing scarier than being low and watching a Morn ult disappear, pop his Leaf Song, and shuffle at you at Mach 10 and just come out of the fog. Like it's just like the trailer, right? Like you just see this like hulking guy, he's just like shuffling towards you. And it's oh man, he can move fast, man. He can move very fast for a tree. Yeah, I think
he's on the up for sure right now, and I really enjoy playing him. Like as wonky and weird as his kid is, it's so much fun to rotate, especially from off lane, and just like scare the enemy mid laner, and then just pull mesmerize, and then your mid laner just hit dumps on them, and then they're just they before they even know what happens. But he's really, really, really in a good spot right now, and I think the revert back to kind of like what Joe was saying, back to his original state is a good place, because he was almost, I feel like, just completely put into irrelevancy.
Unless you were god tier at him, he definitely did not feel very good. So we'll let him have his time in the spotlight. Morn, big W this patch, 100%.
Sure. And then the last change that really kind of stuck out to me, not because I think it's going to be super impactful, but mainly just because I think it's really, really weird, is Wraith. So the Wraith changes, they greatly buffed his Soulstone drone, which is the drone that he gets in support. Now it grants MP, ability haste, mana regen, and 3% move speed. So it's kind of like an extra, I don't know, I guess like tier 2.5 item, I guess you could say. But overall, like his cooldowns and his mana costs have increased. This is a very weird change. I don't really see Wraith support. I don't think I've ever really heard of Wraith support. This kind of sounds like a Joey thing. Joey, I mean, did you spurn this change? Like, did you write a meta or something? Or?
Like once. That's about it. Like I don't know what the heck that whole thing was about. But I mean, the thing with Waste, like the biggest issue with him is like I think Waste was some of the hardest heroes for me to balance because if you guys ever see him, like his stats across the board, and like Gold Dealer, for example, his win rate at piss poor 40%. But then as soon as you go to Paragon, he shoots up to like 68% win rate. Like this is a hero that is like so aggressive in the hands of a good player, but also so weak in the hands of just an average player. And that's one thing that makes Wukong like really strong is that even in the hands of a bad player, Wukong can only just mindlessly split push and he can win a decent amount of games. But that for Wraith, it's like if you don't land your combos, you're just useless. You just a squishy target that does
no damage.
Yeah. So I think the only reason why they did this change is that maybe like instead of trying to like balance him to be a better, more balanced like ADC kind of hero, well, let's just make him more of a support character, maybe get some more flexibility in other roles, and maybe that's how we balance him, which I don't know if that's the intent, but either way, it's kind of weird that they're going that direction, but that's the only logical reason I can come up with why they're trying to push base support. They're just trying to make him more a hero that I guess can play outside of his very high skill ceiling like DPS.
Yeah. I think the one caveat to the low elo thing is that if you're on controller and if you've ever experienced spectating a controller player playing Wraith, the auto aim, or not auto aim, but the what do you call it? Like the where aim assist works for his freaking snipe, which is kind of ridiculous because you see these people who are bad at laning, bad at positioning, but they hit like 5 snipes in a row at you, and it's like, what is happening? It is infuriating. I've seen it, like I've gotten killed by it. I've spectated teammates doing it, and it's like it's in no way like bug abusing or anything, but I definitely do think they need to at least turn it down for the snipe, because like it is a little crazy for sure.
I do think it's ironic that we bash over Prime with their like aim hack with their characters, but then now we're at the point where we're essentially doing the same thing for trying to cater to like the controller players. Like it's kind of funny if you guys ever seen like the official promo or like the B-roll footage that ministers put out. They show like Skylar shooting her beam, and it's literally just like she's aim bodying.
Oh yeah,
like,
dude, the Skylar beam with the auto the aim assist is crazy too. Those are the two biggest abusers that I've seen of it. Because like a Skylar goes up in the air, she's like perfectly tracked onto you, and it's like, oh, man, that shit does a lot of damage when you get hit by the whole thing. It is yeah. I agree. It is kind of funny. I do think they need to turn it down just a little bit, especially for abilities. I think abilities is where it kind of matters a lot. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, I mean that's those are pretty much like the big changes that I saw. I didn't really go too much into the item balance changes. I think Cresselia and Solaris were probably the two that got touched the most. Oh, and of course, Sky Splitter. It got its usual 1% lifesteal nerf. We had to make sure that we put that in there because
they keep chipping away at it. They're gonna chip it down patch by patch. Go ahead,
the best
Joe,
item in the game, by the way.
Yeah, it is still very good. It is one of the best.
I would be surprised if this item gets the bonus star treatment, where it's just like, okay, we can't make this item balanced. Let's just remove this item from the game and just put something else in its place. Because that was so like the reasoning why they kind of like removed bone stars, because it was just gonna be too problematic how it interacted with like Yin with her attack speed and slow. So instead of trying to find a way to balance it, they're just like, oh, let's just remove it and just come with a different item. And that's what essentially did with Rapture, right? So I'm still salty about that because my OG original funny little build that I used to do first started off with Skies for the Bone Saw. I abused it too much. I'm sorry. They removed the game. It's my fault, guys. Totally my fault.
That's okay. We forgive you for that one. Yeah. Sky Splitter, very strong. Morn, big W, sweet new skins. I mean, there is obviously caveats to saying it was a good patch. There's bugs, there's questionable stuff that's done, but I think overall is a good patch. And I mean, I still enjoy playing the game. It wasn't bad enough. Like the pros outweigh the cons in my opinion. But I know that there is some ranked stuff that Joey you did. We touched on it a bit, but we're gonna let you kind of talk more on that. Obviously not your full video length because your video was like what, like 40, wasn't it like 30 minutes or something like that. We
Yeah,
won't leave you with that much time, but yeah, if you have anything you want to bring up,
I'm assuming you talk about the tree.
yes, like the state of the game
Oh,
video
sorry, I
that you
might be
did.
lagging out right here.
No, that's okay. It's all good.
So
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So I mean, my state of the game, it touched on like I mean, we kind of touched on it like the dust hammers, the gold drip, like the whole like you win the team fight, but you have to reset, and then by the time you reset, the enemy spawns in and take the phase twos that you're supposed to deserve. Like that stuff we kind of already touch on. Like the problem that I guess it's a little bit more recent I've been having with Rank is kind of like the whole VP internal MMR system is just totally like out of whack for Predecessor Rank.
Yeah.
And like for those who do not know, essentially your display rank is not actually reflected of your eternal MMR because your eternal MMR actually determines the kind of players you go against. So that's why, for example, you can see Paragon lobbies have like plat or even gold players because those players' internal MMR is just so high up that they're being put into Paragon lobbies. And that was the biggest issue I had with season 0 of rank for Predecessors because I was at a point where I was like plat 3 and I was trying to see if I can make it to Paragon. But literally every game I was going into was were only Paragon players and not just like the lower end Paragon players, but literally like Maguli, Survivor, like the top 100 Paragon players. And it was gained at every single game. My queue times were 20 minutes. My VP gain was only 20, and then I lose like 18 in plat 3. And then it's just like, okay, I actually just cannot climb. Like, what's the whole point of me trying to climb the Paragon if the game is streaming live Paragon? And then I just give up on the whole notion. So I was hoping that with the rank reset, that like it's gonna reset the turn more. It's gonna put things on a little bit clean slate, and I can go from there. But when I end up found is that the problem is still there, and it somehow has gotten even worse because last time I played, like right now I'm going to Silver 2, and right now most people like that were X Paragon are like platinum or even diamond players. And right now, like if I try to queue up rank, I'm being literally put into those lobbies again. So like I'm trying to climb into gold, but I'm playing against like the top elo bracket players, and that's just super annoying. But the one thing that kind of set me off was that when I found out about the VP gain loss, but my VP gain is only 22 and I lose 14. And then like some guy that's like number 9 on the Predecessor leaderboards for rank is like gaining like, what was it, 29 VP and only losing 8 VP, which does not make sense whatsoever. And that is just not one-off case. There's like if you go on Meta.ca right now and look at the top 100 players, half of them has a whole 29 PP gain, only losing 3 PP. And it's kind of funny too because I was curious. I look at Maguli, and Maguli was like the highest MMR player and season 0 of rank Paragon, but right now he's only 19. And part of the reason is because I look at his Omega history, and he has the same issue too. Well, not the same. It's like he should be at 22 VP, losing 18 VP. That's what should happen at that level. But because he was having that VP gain loss, and everyone else above him was getting like 38 VP and only losing 8 VP, it means that like people like around him had to play less games to get to a higher rate than he. So he just got cut for no reason. And it just does not make sense. Like this whole rank system is just an absolute joke, and I just somehow the problem just got worse. And season 1 of Rank Predecessor.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I was playing some ranked games the other day, and it seems like that, like you said, around like 29 is kind of where the VP game kind of caps out. But it feels really easy to get that, and then like you said, you're not losing enough when you do lose, right? So like it's kind of like Paragon is less of display of skill and more a play of how many games can you play. And that's how I kind of felt in the last patch too. Like I played ranked when it came out, and I think I got up to diamond or something like that, and then I just kind of gave up with it because I like to play with my friends and stuff like that too. But it just felt like Paragon was just like the people that like flaunted being Paragon. I was like mumbling on under my breath. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. You can get to Paragon with a 40% win rate. Like, well, like what is that, right? Like it's I don't know. I definitely agree with your frustrations there, Joey. And I saw your tweet and the conversations you were having. I 100% am on your side for that because it's just it is very silly to have this comp mode when it's a comp mode, right? In quotes, it's like it's basically just quick play
Quick play with
with
bands.
bands, quick play with bands, and you get a funny number that doesn't mean anything. That's all ranked is right now. So Hasp, do you have anything? I know you haven't played a lot of ranked. Have you heard anything through the grapevine, something like that?
No, I mean, I'm definitely going to be hopping back into ranked this season, obviously, and each of the splits, just for the bans and no mirror matches. I mean,
100%.
that's the reason you play ranked at this point, because obviously, like you guys were talking about, I mean, whatever rank you are, it's almost just a crapshoot. It just depends on how much you play, really. I mean, that's all it really is. It's not a true determinator of skill. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy playing the game. The game is fun. It's 1.5. I think overall is way better than 1.4. I want obviously more of these bug fixes to come. I want the game to feel less clunky, but that'll come with time. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I think they're headed in a better direction than I thought they might have been after 1.4.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overall, I'm satisfied. The game state obviously isn't fantastic, but I don't think having a perfect game state is super achievable. The cons are very big, ranked cons, bugs, all that sort of stuff does feel bad. But I think at the end of the day, I'm still happy to be playing this game. I to be honest, I never thought I'd become a person like a single game person, because for a long time I would just shuffle between different updates of different games and kind of just bounce around with my buddies. And now I've got 2,400 hours in Predecessor, right? Like over 2K matches, right? Like it's, I think at the end of the day, I'm happy to be playing, but I'm also very hopeful that they fix what's wrong and really make it like the perfect game that makes it worth it to put in the time, right? So, I think unless there's any kind of other remarks you guys want to make about Wukong 1.5, rank changes, dev stream, all that sort of stuff, we can kind of close out. So you guys have anything?
I think the only thing to like add is just like they didn't mention that they're gonna do some kind of like how do I say like kind of like a video where they're gonna explain the game direction, just kind of like the old videos they used to do where they kind of give like a little sneak peek, like hey, these are the next steps we're taking for the game.
Like a
Well,
roadmap.
yeah, it's not exactly a roadmap. It's just like there were a lot of conversation. There were a lot of people like me, Pinterest, people complain that like Omega Series are doing all these like drastic changes, like we touched on like this time with like just shifting the drama from like a tactical MOBA to more of, like a hero brawler MOBA, and they just kind of did that under the rug, and it's just like that's why there's a lot of people that were frustrated with the games. Like they actually changed the game dramatically, and it's just not as obvious at first kind of glance. So a lot of people will not clue in with all these changes or why it's even happening in the first place. So they did mention that in response to that, they are going to kind of do like update, like roadmap or kind of like that kind of dialogue. Like, hey, here's what we're doing in the game and why. So I think that's one thing to really be on the eye look out for to kind of see how much are they willing to share their vision. And even if we don't agree with it, as long as they're very clear on what they're doing and why, I think that's going to be a big step in the right direction and trying to restore some of that faith with the community.
Yeah, and the dev streams too, right? Like now they have Choice Online, who's like their dedicated production guy. Like, I've heard whispers of him doing more stuff with. Well, I should say I hope to see more stuff with the Creator Guild. I mean, ever since he's been here, he's only been working for like a month, and it's been like 3 or 4 streams. which I think is awesome. I think we've always talked about Predecessor needing to be more in contact with the community and do more streams and push out more explanation videos. And it is a lot of work, but I'm glad they have choice on it to kind of make it happen. So, yeah, I guess I kind of with that, we're gonna kind of close out here. But Joey, I know that you stream occasionally. I know you're kind of busy. Do you have any tags or anything, like shout out your YouTube channel, shout out your Twitch?
I mean, it's just mainly like, yeah, just my YouTube stuff. I don't really do any Twitch. A lot of people keep asking me why I don't do Twitch, and the reason for that is just like, well, I just don't really stream that often. There's no
Yeah.
point trying to stream on the platform that you can't use that much, so you just can't really build an audience off of that. So I just stick with YouTube because that's where my audience is at the end of the day. Like occasionally
Yeah.
streaming there, it just makes more sense for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
my YouTube, of course, you guys know me on there. My Twitter, which I when I first originally made it, I was a bit more quiet, but now that there's a lot of these issues happening a lot more often, I've been more outspoken and about some of these issues. So my Twitter's been kind of more active recently. So you can definitely follow that to see a little bit more of my thoughts on the game and all of that. So it's just mainly those two platforms you can find me on.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll get your YouTube link and we'll put in the description of the video, the upload that's coming to Spotify as well after we're done recording tonight. So yeah, I mean, without further ado, I think that's kind of it. Great patch. Wukong's fun. I've been Secret Salsa. Hasp, you can kind of give your outro there if you want.
I'm Hasp. Goodbye. Joe, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. Again, You're welcome to come back to episode 69 if you want to. If you want to join the memes, that's
the funny number episode.
The invitation is open. But yeah, I appreciate everyone watching and listening. And yeah, hope everyone's having fun playing the game.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna try and keep these episodes kind of right after the patch. So with Predecessor current cadence, it's about every 3 weeks. But we will keep you updated in the Discord, and I post stuff on my Twitter, and I post stuff in the Twitch stories and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody.
Later.
We'll be right back.